Here we are. If you're still waiting a moment to sign the book, please kindly you can sign later. We're about to begin. Yes. Hello, my name is Dennis Hayes. I met John Nemec 50 years ago this month down the road at St. Louis College. And I'm honored to welcome you to this memorial service in celebration of his life. I want to start by thanking all the folks who have done so much to make this possible, starting with the Botanical Society here. The staff have been exceedingly helpful in supporting families' requests, special ones, and being responsive. And I have to say, I think John would approve. This is one of his favorite go-to places, I understand, outside of a wine bar downtown. So I want to thank Side for the help. I also want to thank the family, Jane, Mary, and Philip, there you are, for their care and consideration in arranging all of what we are doing today from miles away. Not an easy task if you're local. So thanks to the family. I want to call out everyone who's brought photos, especially William Fly O'Mara, who has created a carousel for us to look at. It's PG, don't worry, folks. I want to thank Lynn Heyer for the flowers. I understand Lynn, others went to the farmer's market this morning to get these fresh cut flowers. They're lovely. Thank you, Lynn. Where are you? There you are. All right. I want to thank the professional musicians who are here. Yanwan Acoustic Duo, Peter and Glo Pavanka, and Pete Munzik, wonderful player and impresario of Acoustic Fest, and William Fly O'Mara, who's blues harp, who we'll hear later. Musicians will be striking up their repertoire during the reception. I want to give you just a brief shout out to whoever went responsible for making this happen. Well, if you look around the room and you see people you do not know, you're not alone. I'm one of them. I think it reflects the many circles that John walked in through his life journey. He knew many people, he touched many lives. And this service today is in part a reflection of that. We're going to begin with a Buddhist service. So, John was a lifelong student and practitioner, and a priest and practitioner of Buddhism. We'll begin with a lovely Buddhist service. The family will then present eulogies of John, stories they will tell. Well, then, John, as many of you know, is a passionate fire builder. He liked nothing better than to gather wood for light, tend, and overtend the fire. So we're going to have a candle lighting ceremony to honor that and for other absent friends and guests here. Then we'd like to open up the ceremony for some stories, some memories that anyone would like to share. It's an open sharing. You're welcome to come on up here. I think it might be best so everyone can hear. So you're warmly invited to come up at that point. And if you'd rather wait until the reception, perhaps indulge in a bit of courage from the back of the room, you are welcome to come up and there'll be several toasts as well. So another chance then. So we're here to honor our dear friend John Nemec, to tell stories, to celebrate his life, to pay homage to this gem of a man. I know this is hard for many. It's hard for me. I still miss him. I miss him dearly. I think that we can all help each other with our stories today and with our open hearts to better understand and accept the loss which we so dearly mourn right now. And I can feel that in this room. So please open your hearts to what we're about to take here. I think we're all looking to take home something special from today. And now I'm going to name something that I think maybe perhaps many of us wish to take home. John's Packer season tickets. I just want to tell you that there's no substance to the rumor that there will be a discreet silent auction on the patio behind me after the reception. That's not going to happen. Right? I had to say that. That's something John would have said. I referred briefly to the tragic circumstances of John's death, and I believe that we need to go there. I'm going to go there for a moment because I think we have to absorb the last few weeks of John's life. As many of you know, John suffered from chronic kidney disease, and in the last 16 months of his life, the course of that kidney dysfunction accelerated, and it prompted John to accelerate his search for a donor. I think many of us in this room received a clarion call, blind copied on the email, asking for your kidney. There's no other way to put it, really. And I want to tell you that the Frederick Institute was all being sort of tracked through his team there, the Frederick Kidney Institute of Milwaukee, and they were shocked and, in fact, remarked that they had never seen so many people raise their hand to donate their kidney. I just want to say that that is an homage to the man's karma. I think that says a great deal. And I'm going to call out Lynn Heyer right here, who was #1 on the list. I'm going to mention Lynn because I think it's just a heroic act of love. Thank you, Lynn. And so we get to June this year, and I'm texting and calling John almost weekly. What's going on? We calendared his procedures, now there's another test, so on. We're getting closer, and then just as we're about to secure this new lease on life for John, he checks himself into the hospital, chest pain, multiple ruptures to his aorta, put him on the surgery table for 5+ hours. It's a procedure that it's a great open heart procedure, as many of you know, and John died days later. He just couldn't muster from a recovery from this. And so we're left with this to contemplate and to live with and to absorb and to somehow move on together with. I'm going to close this out. I've got about 3 minutes left. I want to say something if you remember the English actor and director, Sir John Gielgud, his advice to actors, he said, be good in a good movie. You can be good in a bad movie. You can be bad in a bad movie. Don't be bad in a good movie. I want to submit to you that I think John took the toughest one of those four objects and excelled in it. I think John was good in a bad movie. And I want to let you know what I mean by that. I'm going to read something I jotted down this morning, otherwise I'm not sure I'm going to get through it. Please indulge me. John was certainly good in the good movie that was his life. But he was good in the bad movie that he saw the world be. John and I and others came of age in an era of intense conflict. We arrived at St. Gilbert College 50 years ago with this nation at war abroad, carpet bombing non-combatants with defoliants and napalm, while at home, the government was targeting, surveilling, jailing, and shooting anti-war and anti-racist students and community leaders. We arrived with a high school diploma and a draft lottery number. Some were one bad semester away from losing our student deferment, which soon went away anyway, and making life or death decisions. None of this could be ignored. It was in this context that John began a lifelong passion to listen and learn and to help. He was a student of history, a voracious reader of history and nonfiction. He refused to read novels and fiction. Many of you know this. He was a man who lived through a great deal of history, personal and social history. He acquired an informed animus to the many economic injustices in the United States, and especially in its incarceration system. He was not optimistic about the political future. In a world he believed to be fundamentally unjust and inhumane, John did good. He answered a calling. He challenged us to be skeptical of inherited ideas, lest we make unexamined choices. He chose to give and listen and help and encourage all those he met to be better, to be good. He was relentlessly and fundamentally good at what he believed to be a bad movie. I miss him dearly. And we are on time, and we're now going to do the Buddhist ceremony in Taiso Roshi. Well, thank you.
On this Saturday, August 7th, 2021, we gather to remember Pima Mooney, John Nemick's life. When we look at the movement of the universe, life and death are an endless cycle, like heat and cold. When death comes, it is as quick and unpredictable as a flash of lightning. When it happens, it moves everything like the high and low tide. We gathered together to honor Vimala Mooney John Nemick Roshi of the Green Bay Zen Center and of the Hollow Bones Rinzai Zen Order, and to recognize that on Wednesday, the 3rd of July, 2021, the karmic incarnation of this lifetime was extinguished. We're going to have a Zen service here, and it will include some readings. And in your program, there are some times when individuals are marked out for readings, and sometimes there are places where either readings or chantings are marked out for all. We'd like to invite you to participate with us in all of this as you are interested. So no obligation, but an offering. And we're going to chant a chant that's known as, the short version is called a Kanzeon. And people from the Zen community will circulate among you and offer incense. And during that chanting, if you'll start from the front to the back, and if you would like to offer incense, you'll have a stick of incense to offer at one of these altars. So it's an orderly and solemn procedure, and it is a way of recognizing the solemnity and honoring John's life. So participate as much as you'd like to, and if you're uncomfortable, would just assume, just observe. Of course, we recognize and honor this. Awakened one's vow. When I,
a bodhisattva of no rank, look through awakened eyes at the real form of this universe, all that appears is the never-ending, never-failing manifestation of the mysterious unfolding of truth. In any event, in any moment, and in any place, none can be other than the marvelous revelation of the interplay of this glorious light. This realization has been the transformational moment, causing all of our masters and mentors, patriarchs and matriarchs, to experience true freedom and joy beyond comprehension, and to then extend tender care with a worshiping heart to all beings, beasts and birds, trees and flowers, even rocks and waters. This realization teaches us, reveals to us, that our daily food and drink, clothes and protections of life are the very warm flesh and blood, the merciful incarnation of this ever-present, living, divine mystery. Who then can be ungrateful or disrespectful, even to senseless things, as well as to human beings? Even though some may appear to be fools or so-called enemies, we will remember to be warm and compassionate toward them. If by chance they should turn against us, abuse and persecute us, we will remember our fearless heart, our path of wisdom, compassion, non-violence, and skillful means. Before we react, we
we recite this particularly today because this was John's favorite and one of the things that he particularly used as a teaching reading. Verses on the faith mind.
The way is perfect, like the vastness of space, where there's no lack and no excess. Awakening is to go beyond both emptiness and form. All changes in this empty world seem real because of ignorance. The great way is without limit, beyond the easy and the hard. Just let go now of this clinging mind, and all things are just as they are. In essence, nothing goes or stays. To seek great mind with the thinking mind is certainly a grave mistake. If mind does not discriminate, all things are as they are, as one. When all is seen with a mind of equality, we return to our most intimate nature. When the mind is fully with the way, all ego-centered strivings cease. Doubts and confusion disappear, and so one true faith pervades all of life. There is nothing that clings to us and nothing that is left behind. In this true world of emptiness, both self and other are no more. The way is beyond all space, all time. One instance is 10,000 years. Not only here, not only elsewhere, truth is right before your very eyes. One thing is all things are one. Know this, and all is whole and complete. When faith and the mind are not separate, this very reality is beyond all words, all thought. For here there is no yesterday, no tomorrow, and no today.
Three refuges. I take refuge
in the absolute purity of this awakened mind. I take refuge in this practice of pure, selfless awareness, wisdom, compassion, and skillful means. I take refuge in this awakening community and our realization in the truth of the interconnection, interpenetration, and interdependency of all sentient and insentient beings everywhere.
chant of boundless compassion.
Absorbing world sounds awakens a Buddha right here. This Buddha, the source of compassion. This Buddha receives only compassion. Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, just compassion. Thus the pure heart always rejoices. In the light recall this. In the dark recall this. Moment after moment, the true heart arises. Time after time, there is nothing but this.
69 years of upside-down views have gone by like a dream, like a fantasy. Now they have become right-side-up reality. Born in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, on May 5th, 1952, Vimala Muni John Peter Nemec traveled the Dharma road, but never went far from home. Vimala Muni John Nemec studied at St. Norbert College and received a master's degree in educational psychology from UW-Milwaukee. John's life was dedicated to supporting others through compassion, kindness, and his commitment to Buddhist principles. He began his Zen practice in 1973 and studied at the Minnesota Zen Center in 1975. He served professionally as a licensed psychotherapist and worked many years at Family Services of Northeast Wisconsin, and most recently worked as a supervising social worker at Power for Change in Green Bay. John was active in the Mankind Project, helping men to discover their authentic masculinity, and worked with the Truth Project with incarcerated men. While wandering as both Lun and Sui, cloud and water, he met his ordination in Inca master, Jumpo Dennis Kelly. Now, after 26 years as a founding member, priest, and Roshi of the Green Bay Zen Center in the Hallowbone Zen Order, he has completed this movement of the Dharma from west to east. Now he will serve 1,000 more springs in the memory of all his clients and students for generations to come. Let us all bring our intense, single-minded effort, our Nen, to enable him to arrive safely in his new home and return to reactivate his Dharma compassion when he chooses to be born again. Now listen carefully to this verse of guidance. Overwhelming the evening, clouds gather in one great mass, endlessly arising above distant mountains, the sky, blue, heaped upon blue.
Enmei Juku Kangyo.
Come.
Great wisdom, heart, seek. any who wish to are invited to join us in this shout of release. Four awakened fowls. However,
All beings are. I vow to serve and liberate them all. However deep and elusive my shadow states are, I vow to experience and enlighten them all. However vast and difficult true teachings are, I vow to embody and master them all. However endless my true path may be, I vow to awaken and follow forever.
Now the closing reading from the Diamond Sutra.
Thus shall ye think of all this fleeting world. A star at dawn, a dewdrop in the morning sun, a bubble in the mountain stream, a flash of lightning in a summer cloud, a flickering light, a shadow, a phantom, and a dream, and they are thus to be regarded. When the Buddha finished his discourse, the Venerable Subhuti and all that were attending were filled with joy by his teaching, and taking it sincerely to heart, they went their separate ways.
Thank you, Ty, so much. John is on his way. Thank you for that service. All right, I think we've come to the point of the program where we're ready for the family eulogies. And we'd like to begin with Jane, John's sister. Please.
Tyso, I want to thank you for the quads. It was really cathartic. Thank you. My mother died at the age of 84. My father died just 3 months shy of his 80th birthday. My brother wasn't supposed to die, 39 days after his 69th birthday. My heart is still so heavy, and I have so many medical questions I know I'll never get answers to. John was as good as they come. Why did the good die young? I knew I was blessed with the world's best siblings. I loved Mary. But I never knew just what a truly exceptional man John was until he got sick. I learned more about him while he was so sick in the hospital, and these weeks since his passing, than I was ever aware of in our 65 years together as brother and sister. I knew he had a lot of friends. I knew he was a fine man, but I never knew to what a huge extent he was admired and loved. The stories I've heard about John since he entered the hospital on June 15th fill my heart with such pride and happiness. Learning just how special he was to so very many people makes me love him all the more and makes me miss him like I never imagined possible. Thank you to the many friends, colleagues, fellow Buddhists, acquaintances, for loving my brother and for watching out for him as his health began to fail. Thank you to everyone that immediately wanted to save his life when he put out the word that he needed a kidney. I think even Frederick was astounded by the selflessness of so many people. Thank you, Lynn, for putting up with so many tests and scans and blood draws. You and John were so close to the finish line. You will forever be an angel in my eyes. Philip, your dad, was very proud of you and the man and father you have become. He always knew you'd be an outstanding human being, and he was right. 36 is too young to lose a parent, but you have handled everything from your dad's emergency surgery, his unpredictable and frightening days in the hospital, his passing, and the huge challenge of getting his affairs in order after his death with grace and calm. Your dad, wherever he is proud of you. There are a lot of people from your dad's many circles of friends that want to help. Please reach out to them when needed. They want to help. Emma, your father-in-law loved you like a daughter, and he would frequently comment as to how smart you are. Savannah and Kira, Grandpa lit up like a Christmas tree whenever he talked about you. He proudly sent Mary and me pictures whenever he had a new one of either of you. I'm sorry he was taken from you way too soon. John, I wish so badly you were still here with all of us. That's probably selfish of me because you were so sick, especially after your heart surgery. I think if you had survived, your life as you knew it and loved it would not have been the same. You are suffering no longer, but we suffer knowing we'll never be able to see, talk, or laugh with you again. You have left so many holes in so many hearts. A friend of mine sent me this after John died. I will take these words to heart and live my best life possible to honor my dear, sweet, kind big brother. You can shed tears because they are gone, or you can smile because they lived. You can close your eyes and pray that they will come back, or you can open your eyes and see all that they left for you. Your heart can be empty because you can't see them, or you can be full of the love you shared. You can turn your back on tomorrow and live yesterday, or you can be happy for tomorrow because of yesterday. You can remember only that they are gone, or you can cherish their memory and let it live on. You can cry and close your mind and feel empty, or you can do what they would want. Smile, open your heart, love, and go on. I love you, John.
I didn't let Dennis introduce me, but I am John's youngest sister, Mary. I too just want to thank everyone for being here today, and thank you, Jane, for capturing what it was like for Jane and I to fly in the day after John went into the hospital. And we, we flew in, we, so desperately wanted to be here with John and spent, a number of days here waiting for him to wake up. And then went home and really thought that we would see him again, of course, and stayed optimistic and, just waited every day to hear good news. And I'll tell you that during that time, when I had gone home, and I told Jane this and other people, I would talk to John at night in my head, and I would say, John, I want you to experience, I want you to see this. I want you to just know how loved and beloved and just how, we were just overwhelmed by how many people in John's life cared about him and were there for him. And I just would say, John, please wake up, because I want you to see this. I want you to see how many people love you, because I'm not sure everybody gets to see that in their life. So I too want to thank everyone who helped make today possible. Dennis and Mari, thank you so much. We worked on the program over 3 bottles of wine at Dennis's house in San Francisco. Just saying. Anyway, I wrote the whole program on the back of my checkbook. But thank you, of course, to the Green Bay Zen Center. Thank you so much to Philip and Emma, Savannah, Kira, my sister Jane, Lynn, Tyso, Bob, Vanessa, Fly, Pete and Glow, Eric, all of the people who made today so special. So John was 9 years older than me, and so he really was my big brother, my older big brother, right? So that means that when he left the house to go to college, to St. Norbert's, I was just 9 years old. So he was already just larger than life to me. Funny, could care less what his mom and dad wanted him to do. He was already his own person, out on his own. And I just thought he was amazing, funny and interesting, and always loomed large in my life. And that just never went away. Some of my earliest memories of when John would come home from St. Norbert's for a hot meal, and he would bring home, always brought home at least a couple people, because we never had cars growing up, so I'm sure he just needed a ride back to Nashville. And he would come to dinner, and I was over the moon that my big brother was home for dinner, and I was always so thrilled to see him, and I would sit at the table, and we'd eat, and then everyone would hang out at the table after, and he would tease my mom, and I'd listen to these college kids talk about their lives and make jokes and tell stories. Of course, I had no idea what they were talking about. But I always heard them say that they didn't have any money. And so I thought I was so frightened for him. I loved him so much. I was like, John doesn't have any money. So I would go upstairs to my piggy bank, and I would empty it, and I would come down and slip the money into his big brown suede jacket that he wore in the winter, and I'd give him all my money. And I don't think I understood what a dorm meal was. I thought he was starving to death. And then it was only years later that I realized, I think he told me, I think I finally told him that I used to do that. And he said, oh, that money was spent downtown Menasha on our way back to Green Bay, at one of the taverns. So that was good. I was happy. But, so this is a hard thing to do, to eulogize somebody like John, your brother. So I'm going to be really brief. But I do want to say that he was my brother, he was my mentor, he was my friend. After our dad died, he actually was, kind of my father. And many times in my life, he was my counselor and just a shoulder to cry on. But what I just admired him so much for how he lived his life and the values he had, and he just didn't talk it. He really walked the walk, and I just always admired him. In the years since our parents died, John and I had so many conversations, you too, Jane, where how you help each other fill in blanks. You say, remember when Mom used to say that? Or what did Dad always, where were they when they did this? And together you kind of try to fill those stories and those blank places in. And after every one of those conversations, John said exactly the same thing. He'd say, Mary, I wish I had one more day with them. And I would ask them all the questions, I never got to ask, or maybe I asked and I just don't remember the answer. And so that's where I'm at, right now, is all the things I wish I could ask John, and all the gaps and all the things I would love to fill in, because Jane and I have learned so much about his life here in Green Bay, and now I would love to ask him about every one of you. But I'd like to ask him, how is it possible that every single time I called him, he made me feel like I was the person that he wanted to be talking to, day or night, always there, always happy to hear from me, always happy to come visit, always just knew how to make me laugh with that great brand of sarcasm that we love. He just always knew to say the right thing if I was upset or sad. But I have other questions too that have come to me in the weeks ahead. So now I'd like to say, John, how did you have time to do Meals on Wheels, 2 Dharma talks a week at the Zen Center, but you still had time to go to Libby 3 nights a week and memorize 180 Seinfeld episodes word for word? So I'd love to know where his love of oysters came from, since basically we ate Van de Kamp fish growing up in Menasha. How did he manage to sit through 7 days Zen silent retreats? And yet when he and I took the train from Los Angeles to see Dennis and Mari in San Francisco, as I told my sister, I couldn't get him to stop talking over 11 and a half hours long enough for me to use the restroom. I go read a nap and read books, he never stopped talking. So I have lots of questions. But I know you're here because you know John was a great guy. The final thing I just want to share is that many of you know that Junpo, who we've mentioned today, his beloved teacher, his friend, his mentor over all these decades, died shortly before John did, leaving a huge hole in many, many people's hearts. John knew how much I admired him and how much I loved him and just thought he was so extraordinary. John called me the day after he saw Junpo for the last time. He wanted to share with me what that final conversation and visit had been like. And so he told me about being at Mary and Junpo's home and how there was a group of friends who had gathered that day, and they were just, holding vigil, supporting each other, telling stories. And John went into the room with Junpo and had a final conversation with him. And I will never know, what they talked about, doesn't really matter, but he told me that when he got up to leave, he was holding Junpo's hand. And he said, "Roshi, is there anything else I can do for you?" And without missing a beat, Junpo said, "Yeah, have fun." And I truly believe that if we could ask John that question one last time, John, is there anything else we can do for you? That would be his answer as well. So thank you so much for being here to celebrate John's life with us. It just means everything. So thank you.
Listeners that don't know me, I'm Philip, I'm John's son. And unfortunately, I'm not nearly as elegant of a speaker as my aunt. So I'll try to piece this together the best I can. Few men are lucky to have a father like my dad. He really was the best of the best. In 36 years, I've had plenty of ups and downs. The one thing that I can always remember is that no matter what I was going through, he never gave up on me. It would have been really easy, oh no, you're kind of doing this with your life, and I'm not going to be really with that. And no, he never, ever gave up on me, never turned his back on me. He was always there. That was my person. If I had a question, right, about anything, about life, about family, about anything, that my number one phone, Dad, how do I do this? I remember I was driving down the road or something with my daughter. And we're just driving down the road and all of a sudden my bumper just decides that it wants to break up. He doesn't like us anymore, just flies off the back of the car. And I was just stunned. We're sitting there looking at each other. I remember the first person I called was my dad. Hey, what do I do with this? Granted, given the situation as outrageous as it was, he didn't really have much to say. He was like, oh, put the bumper in the truck, go fix it. Perfect, you know. John Nemec advice right there. Go fix it. I just, you know, I also want to thank everybody for coming. Those who made this possible, Cassandra, and all the friends and family, some that I know, some that I don't know, some that I've seen recently, some that I haven't seen. And again, especially want to thank all of you for your kindness and your extensions of assistance toward, for me and my family. So again, that is greatly appreciated. If I need you best believe, I'll be giving you a phone call. I could probably just go on and ramble. I got a little reading here. I actually, as I was digging through some of my dad's papers, I discovered this letter that should have been attached to something. But it was in relation to a Father's Day gift for his dad. Then my dad wrote this when he was 31 years old. I don't know if Grandpa ever got it or not. But just kind of reading the end paragraph of it really sums up his experience, my experience with him as a dad. And goes, and I believe these are the first part of the original song. If there was ever a man who was generous and gracious and kind, that was my dad. The man, a human being, so true he could live like a king because he knew the real treasure of life. To be devoted to, always stand by, always stood by me. So I'd never be, so I'd be unafraid and free. Right. I guess my closing is just something that I would extend to all of you, and I think that his wishes, for everybody. May all beings be happy. May all beings be well fed and loved, and may all beings find their way.
Bring up Emma and Savannah and Phil. As I mentioned earlier, John was passionate about fires. We're now going to light a candle for John and for absent friends and friends.
6-year-old, huh? Yes.
I'm going to be trying to do this song. I'll see these ceremony. Well, I'll just begin. It's now time for some open sharing. Please, you are warmly invited to come on up and share a story, memory of John. Takers. Please introduce yourself.
Hi. My name is Teofilo, a long time, very close friend to John. I had the privilege to be with him, holding his hand his whole last afternoon until he left us. And like probably most of you, if not all, have a large hole in my heart since he left. But I'm not up here so much to tell you about me and my relationship. John and I had a mutual friend who wanted very much to be here today but couldn't. And so I offered to read for him something that he wrote. And I will do that now. My name is Mike Phillips, and John was a dear friend of mine. Diane and I moved from Wisconsin to Roanoke, Virginia 4 years ago. So apart from occasional visits to Wisconsin, our recent contact has been mostly on the phone, text, etc. We would communicate about once a month or so. As a running joke, we began greeting each other on the phone with, "So anyway," as if our most recent conversation had been interrupted only a few moments ago. This is always how it felt with John. Our relationship naturally flowed, even when punctuated by expanses of time and geography. So anyway, John and I were friends for almost 40 years. As Buddha's spiritual leader, John married one of my sons and buried the other. We shared some hard times, but also had many laughs, celebrations, long, deep conversations, outings with our kids, babysat for each other, ball games, hikes. Oh, the list is long. My heart aches for having lost John's friendship, but also swells with the continued warmth of his spirit, which will be with me and all of us forever. I am eternally grateful that the fabric of our lives was woven together in so many enriching ways. And then there's a poem that he wrote. A poem for John. To the rich, ancient earth, to the air that gives us breath, to the deep, mystic pond, I return these earthly vestiges of John. Still in the blue sky above and celestial expanse beyond, there endures his searching song, compassionate, gentle, strong. And to my own space within, transient, fleeting, but still here for now, comes John's voice, compassionate and wise, rhythmic, and very much alive.
Would else like to share a story?
exactly sure where I'm going to go with this. And took a few notes down. Managed to keep it under about 6 gigabytes. My name is Mike Hermes. I guess I was a friend of John in our youth. And I did not recognize you. Very soon I did. It's been a long time. I can't remember the last time we saw each other. I think it was a wedding or something. My wife, Mary Lynn Evers Hermes, went to St. Norbert's with John. And one of the roommates was Jerry Tuxer Abba, also there. Joan Ewing, Van Leecho Ewing, was in our wedding, which was on July 3rd, 1976. 45 years to the day that passed. I didn't notice that for a few minutes, and when I did, it was pretty surprising. But if anybody wants to, when we're done, I've got a picture here from John and I from our wedding in a powder blue tuxedo. And John looking very happy. I don't know what he was up to. I think, if I remember, we barely made it to church on time. So I just started to pull up a couple of notes. I was just scribbling down this morning because I had very bad memory these days. So many things were going through my head, and I thought I better start writing a couple of them down. As everyone knows, John was quite a character. And I did it as best as I could to be a good understudy. Some of the things that I remember, his remarks still float around our family today. Things like, if you weren't listening to him at the time, you'd hear him say something like, and we all stripped down and danced to the nude at the San Bernardino Wine Festival. If you weren't paying attention, you learned to pay attention. You had something to say. I remember playing Army when we were probably out of high school up in Peninsula Park, the state park. And I can't remember if we were like gladiators and medieval warriors or whatever. But I remember picking up a old dead sapling tree and smacking it on the tree. And we all stood and watched as it flipped through the air. It hit John right in the back of the head. Without a word, he just like went flat down on his face. I thought I killed him. And the whole thing was just the roots. It just, it didn't bother him apparently. And I remember the time that him and his dad, I believe it was in the winter, and the car windows would steam up quite a bit sometimes. And they had a rag in the car, and his dad asked him to hand him the rag that was apparently he was going under the passenger seat or something in the front. And John, without paying any attention, just kind of reached under. Joan, this might have been you or somebody else, but he handed it to his dad, and it was a pair of girls' underwear. Apparently he had dropped a couple of the girls off after workouts or whatever after school on the way home on the island. Somehow they managed to get under there. So I wasn't there for that conversation. I know where John got his sense of humor, his parents. I remember when I called the house, I think it was, I'd ask for John, I'd say J.H. or J.P., right? Yeah. And this girl, J.H. or J.P. Oh, I don't know, so I'm talking to him about, huh? I remember John playing football senior year. Rick, I know you're out there somewhere, but I remember John getting in the game, and they stuck him in on defense, and immediately he was really jacked up. Got down on the 4-point stance, and I was behind him because I never played defense, but everybody was getting hurt, I believe, so they had John in at the defensive end position. They had me back and out at defensive back, and they decided, obviously, when they saw the two new guys come in, they were going to run a kind of sweep that on that side. I've never seen anybody get destroyed, seated on that play. It was just hysterical. I remember bringing it up a few months ago at one of the reunion meetings, and he remembered it too. So. He had big feet. I remember John's dad was working at the, what was the shoe store in at the plaza?
Yeah, at Fox Point.
Fox Point, yeah. Anyway, John said they used to, buy him shoes, throw the shoes away, and make him wear the boxes. But the one thing that kind of mastered, and I couldn't do it quite as well as he was, I think he was a half size or a size, bigger than mine were, was going down the steps at St. Mary's High School, all 3 floors without picking up a foot. He would just like slide down, like he was skiing down the steps. It was just comical, but he could do it, he could do it fast. So I'm kind of dried up here. I'm going to cut it short because I don't want to take up everybody's time too much. Oh, the other thing is, that guy could eat. I can't remember who was with us, but I remember being at, I think it was Norm's Steakhouse, the old Norm's Steakhouse in Neenah off the highway. And we probably were a year out of high school or something in the summer. And like half dozen of us converged on a all-you-can-eat steak and wine night at Norm's Steakhouse. It's the first time we've ever been asked to leave. I think John literally put him on the steak. He could just sit there and chew and eat forever. She grew up meeting the Moody Blues, not the early Moody Blues, but Nights in White Satin. I'm sure a lot of you people are going to be looking real confused at me right now. Back in those days, but I remember we would just sit there and listen to all the albums and stuff, and that was about the time we were graduating high school and all the different things that they talked about. Those were the Vietnam years and like that. But I just remember that being a real soul-searching time in people's lives, and he had a lot of insight into so many things. And it's not like, I don't know if he learned it out of books or he's just naturally that curious, but when I heard he died, and when I caught up a little bit more and realized that he became a Buddhist monk, I thought this is exactly what I would have predicted back in the day. Kind of like, Pat Riley, basketball coach for the Lakers or whatever, and Zen basketball and things. You heard this term thrown around, but John was a thinker and he was deep, and he always made you feel like you were a good friend, even though sometimes you might not have been. Just a couple of items from St. Norbert's in the early years. I ended up not going to school because of a car accident. I didn't go to school the first year out of high school, so I basically went to college at St. Norbert's. And I think a lot of us with John. And I think Fred Feewer and some of these other guys, I still remember some of the names. Bob Chen. He's here. Yeah, I remember you introduced yourself as Players Head or something. Just strange stuff. You said, no, that's how you got the burger, Players or whatever. This is crazy. And I remember talking with John outside of, I think they were doing some tour with parents and that, and talking with them on the sidewalk. I saw the Burn Hall, or Burn Hall as they called it. and there's just this little wiener dog walking down the street, and all of a sudden, up from the windows comes about half a dozen water balloons, and this dog's getting knocked out. And John didn't even flinch. He just like, oh yeah, okay, whatever, you know. What they do for fun or something. He just had this really dry, crazy sense of humor, which I love. Angel in the outfield, I call this one. We went with a fraternity, I don't know if it was TKE or whatever, from St. Margaret's, to a Brewers game in Milwaukee. I think we were playing the Angels or whatever, but a few of the guys decided it would be a lot better if they, you know, went down into the concession area, distracted them, and grabbed a case of beer and hauled it up into the stand. And they were bottles back in those days, and they poured them in plastic cups. And the last thing I remember before people were getting locked in vans and going off to the police department was, I can't remember the guy's name, but he was like a senior sergeant, so quite the character. And he goes, Ken Derry, you're a unit. And he threw a beer bottle out in center field. I was like, oh my gosh. So I think it was maybe Fred Freewiger and John and I and a couple other guys just kind of like slid down a few rows because we didn't want to be handcuffed and dragged out of there. But it was the kind of life that we lived back then. I think that's it. So I kind of like said a lot of stuff, but not really how I felt, and that's very hard to do. Before COVID hit, John and I had gotten back on getting together for lunch a couple of times a year. Again, kind of like getting more reacquainted. He got more involved with the class reunion group and stuff. So we started seeing more than that. So it was pretty sad to find out we wouldn't be able to go to lunch anymore. But anyway, thank you.
Yes, the size of John's feet was impressive. He used to refer to them as gunboats. And my gunboats, and he said, they give me good understanding.
I'm Kathleen. I'm John's second wife. You don't want to know how many. I have lots of wonderful memories with John. I definitely benefited from his unimaginable knowledge of history. We went to Europe. I remember we were in Italy, way up in the hills, I think, one of the little tiny towns, and we got a pizza. And he was driving, the road was like this, and opened the pizza, and they didn't cut it. So we spent the time going down the mountain, and when he wasn't going in the hairpin turn, I would rip off a piece and shove it in his mouth. We had lots of experiences. At one point when we were in Spain, I think it was, we stopped to get gas, and he filled it with regular gasoline rather than diesel. And then he saw the sign that on the car that said, if you turn this on, you're going to die. But anyway, so we had to be told and spent $300 for somebody taking out the gasoline, so we didn't have to pay for the car. First time that he ever stayed with me, I had 2 cats, and he had never been around cats. So he threw his clothes on the floor, and I said, I wouldn't do that. And in the middle of the night, I could hear this. He never flew faster in his life. If anybody knows cats, that means they were vomiting in his clothes. Let me see. John and I'm his second wife, as I said. We were together 17 years. I was married twice, and I kept my first husband's name because I wanted to get rid of Jakowski. But anyway, so I didn't know what to do, and I hyphenated Baylor and Emmett. So John was working at Family Services as the vice president at that time, and we donated money, so our name went on the wall, and there it was, John Baylor Nemick. He did get it off the wall. Another memory when we started to date, he eats really fast. And when he's done eating, I'm a slow eater, he's eyeing up your food like, are you gonna eat that? I remember him telling a story about being at a dinner or something, and some woman across from him, I don't remember if it was a relative or whatever it was, she still had a lot of steak on her plate. So he went over there and said, this plate, he said, are you done with that? And she said, no. And I could go on and on. John and I remained friends. He's a good man. I feel terrible he's not on this earth anymore. He really did a lot of good. We were friends for a long time. And, yeah. So I'm seeing all these people that I haven't seen in a long time, and they've all gotten older. But anyway, honoring John.
Well, we may be ready for the reception.
Yes.
Anybody else?
Hey, y'all. I am not going to talk about memories of John, except to say I met him when I was 17, and we were friends all our lives. My message is not about John. I was sitting at the back of the room and he kept on poking me in the back of the head to say, get up. Do not let this end without mentioning the slummers and the fact that they called him Dirt. I don't know if you know that. Dr. Dirt. Yeah, Dr. Dirt. Dr. Dirt. But what he was saying, you know, that would not be right. Mark Gillespie, I hope he's seeing Scott Langdon now. I'm his friend Julie from Merlin years ago. All of you, Keith Lavanta, wherever you are. I love you guys. I don't know, I don't remember all the names. Anyway, he wanted me to come up here and say, from John, I love you. I love us. I love you, as friends. I so love my sister, my brother-in-law. I so love my son. And I so love my granddaughters. You want you to know that. Don't ever forget. Okay?
You see, he is still with us. Yes, please.
My name is Dan Wilkie. I'm going to try to stay composed. This is the exact moment where I lean on John. I think John has taken this lesson on impermanence way too far. I'm ready for it. The first time I met John, we were both completely naked. That's on you. That's on you. Both emotionally and physically. And we remained basically emotionally naked our entire relationship for about 10 years now, maybe a little longer. I wasn't going to speak today, but I felt compelled because I haven't heard anyone talk about the Mankind Project or the Truth Project. Both of them are very, very important to John. And they are cornerstones in my life. And without them, I won't think about what my life would be like now. I know that Mother Earth has taken her share of John back, but he won't ever really be gone, because I know the next time I'm in a tense situation, I'll hear this deep breath. I've heard it countless times, and I'll hear it countless more. And if there comes a day where I get to be on the carpet again, and I help a man work through something, I will see a great bison in a misty prairie. I will never forget that. I had a very rare pleasure of traveling with John every Saturday, most Saturdays, to the Oshkosh State Correctional Institute. And we would sit with men, and he would say before we left, "There's nowhere else I would rather be than right here, right now." And when I first started going, it felt like a platitude, and I thought it was pretty funny. But at the end, I realized how much he really meant it. And I meant it too. So I'll just say this to all of you. I don't like to get between anyone and a drink, so I'll just say this to all of you now. There is no place I would rather be than right here, right now, with all of you.
Anyone else? Yes, please.
Hi, I've had a glass of wine, so now I have the courage to come up here and talk. My name is Renee, and I am married to Steve. I never met John, and I'll explain that in a few minutes. I'll make a very short story because I know we all want to get moving, and I don't want to stand up here and babble. I am friends with Phil. And how I know Phil is through Steve, my husband. And Phil is always mentioned in our house, and it's always followed by Phil, my little brother. And that has no reflection on his height, just for the record. So Steve and Phil are really best friends. But I never met John, and this is the story I want to tell. John was very involved in, and I told myself I wasn't going to come up here and cry, in the Mankind group and the Truth group. And John's name and presence is always mentioned in our house because I fully believe that my husband would not have developed into the man he is today, and that he would not have become the human being that he is today, because I am so proud of him, and he has come so far, and it's all because of John's dedication and determination to help others, and I never had the opportunity to say thank you.
Thank you, Renee.
Hi, everybody. My name is John Diamond. I met John Nemec when I was incarcerated at Oshkosh State Prison. I think it was 2013 or 2014. I know Dan, who's just up here, and but I was part of the Truth Group, and Truth Group was probably one of the most important things that ever took place in my life. It changed my life, gave me a fresh perspective, it opened my eyes to see things that I never thought I would see. And John Minnick, a big part for me. Sat in the circle with him, and I learned how to be vulnerable, which was a really scary thing for me. I learned how to be truthful. I learned how to ask for what I wanted. I learned that people cared about me, and they didn't care about my history. And Cameron was he was a real rock in my life, and him and the other men that I met, being part of that group, just it was so fantastic because one of the things that we were told was that we could be jealous and we could take a hold of what they were offering and be real greedy of it. And got greedy. And when I looked at that, I said, you know, my Heavenly Father knew I was going to be here in this place at this time, well before I was even put on this earth. And I said, look at this. He arranged these people like John and other people that had such great talents and gifts that they were so willing to offer and spend on people. And so I just got to give lots of credit to John. He was a fantastic man. But I was kind of hoping to see him at my stone recovery gathering, but that's going to be a little sad part of that. So, but thanks for giving me the opportunity to share.
I'm going to be very brief. I just want to say that there are 5 of us that went to high school with John here. The 6th one was here earlier and had to leave. Of us, 2 of us also went to grade school with John. So in addition to all your wonderful memories, we have tons of great memories of all the time we spent with John. We were to celebrate our 50th class reunion last year, and of course, because of COVID, it got canceled. We will be having it in a couple of weeks, but all through those 50 years from high school, John has been an active participant in every class reunion meeting. And our class had also gotten together in between, because we had a pretty tight class, and John always showed up. So, adding or not wanting to repeat all of your things, we just want to say, John, we'll miss you. And you'll be in our heart forever.
Perhaps some of you are waiting for the reception to tell some rival stories. Anybody else for now? Philip, would you? All right, well, that concludes our service, our celebration, but not a celebration, sorry, our service, our celebration will continue with a reception. So give us a chance to, for the musicians to set up. And we have a carousel of photographs from decades of John's life that is getting set up right over here on the screen in the back. And please, I invite you to get to know each other, tell some more stories. Let's continue to celebrate and understand
John, thank you